Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Soul Podcasting Podcast. I have an awesome guest today. This is going to be a wonderful episode because we are going to be tapping into the needs of solopreneurs that are also podcasting. So this is Erin Olalla, and she is a sought-after content strategist, SEO expert, and storyteller dedicated to helping brands transform their message into real connections and measurable results. She's also known for her ability to blend data-driven SEO strategies with an authentic human voice, which is what we want to talk about today. She's the host of Talk Copy to Me podcast, and she helps businesses make an impact through copy and content that works. So welcome to the show, Erin.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Okay, I have to hear about your entrepreneurial journey into this because I'm thinking, when I think SEO, I have this sort of mindset of what that means getting into SEO. And for me, it just kind of came about with the practical need to make it a thing for my blog a couple years ago, 10 years ago. And so how did you come into that through maybe creative writing and storytelling? That's unique.
Yeah, so I have an MFA in creative writing. I studied poetry and fiction in undergrad, and then I went to graduate school for an MFA, which is a terminal degree in the creative field. And I wanted to try something different, so I went into nonfiction, started a literary journal, worked on my school as a literary journal, and I truly love the written word and how, I guess this sounds a little corny, but like how it can move people, and which I think relates a lot to marketing, right? Because when done well, when not abused, if you're marketing to people, you want to move them. You want to make them like take action and feel something. But the interesting part is while I was going to school, when I started my literary journal, I was actually working in the mental health field, in human resources and staff benefits. So I wasn't practicing all of the stuff that I've literally studied for like a decade of my life. And my first job actually was working for marketing in the writing world, was working for a marketing company who created SEO content for businesses, which was such a new thing at the time. I mean, we had just sort of transitioned out of the personal blog phase and into the idea that businesses could share content on their website that was educational and informational, and also that it could kind of give you a glimpse behind the scenes, because at the time, while marketing obviously it has always existed, brands invested in advertising. They didn't invest in marketing.
Right.
So this company that I went to work for, their whole thing was like you can tell stories and sell through the stories. So it was a lovely first jump in away from the world of HR and mental health and into actually being a practicing writer.
Yeah.
However, at the time, SEO was just kind of a thing. Like content marketing was just kind of a thing. So it was really fun to grow up in the content world and see how vastly it has changed in the past 10 plus 15 years or so. And I just loved the idea that, I don't know if this is part of my like own like ADHD and like need for like gamification of things, but I loved with SEO that you could write something good, right? Something that was actually like a good piece of content you wanted to share. And with a little extra effort, you could get more people to see it, right? Which just seemed like, it's as a writer going to school to write books or write essays, creatives are always like, how do I get eyes on this? Like, how do I get people to read this? And then I learned about SEO and I was like, well, let me tell you how. We're gonna add this phrase in and we're gonna explain it in this way. So I think maybe being born into this world of content marketing has what's made me truly appreciate the actual effort of SEO from the early days and not just see it as an add-on. Because unfortunately, for solopreneurs, for podcasters, especially podcasters, I am one and so are you. So we're not going to go too hard on podcasters here, but especially podcasters, it's always an afterthought. It's always well, I've already created good content. Like I'm paying for an editor to do, the audio editing, like, or I'm putting all this effort in myself. Like that's just I'll do it when I have time. I'll go back into my episodes and do it later. But just like with my writing days, like you want people to hear your show. You want people to find you. So all of those practical things I learned from my, jump away from my former professional life into the writing world was simply that if you want more people to find you, you just have to put the effort in from the front and you will get more eyes on your stuff.
I love that you said just put the effort in up front, and it keeps you from, it sort of saves you time later on down the road and having to go back and redo your titles and your meta tags and your descriptions and all of this. So if you already kind of have an idea of what keywords and key phrases and so forth, and you'll talk about that later, but just like having that information up front and integrating that into your strategy from the beginning is so helpful. And I like that you said, as podcasters, sometimes we're really focused on, is my audio clean? Do I have the right story, the right narrative? How do I want to present this content to my audience as listeners, right? And we're thinking of our listenership. But this is all data and information that we can look at in terms of our transcripts, our show notes, our blog posts, and that kind of thing. So there's so much to podcasting that SEO can really help us with. And so one of the things, like I agree with you, growing up in this content marketing world, I feel like I've seen the shift from the blogging days where people were just blogging about their everyday life to realizing that, hey, I can blog about my business and we can sort of add this onto our business. And then from there, it being a staple of their business, content creation being kind of the center of their business. So I love that. And then I just wanted to ask you about like the authentic voice part of it, because that's such a big thing for me, making sure that as we create content, we're sharing the best of ourselves in the best way possible, and that we're not sounding canned or pretentious, that this is really coming from our hearts. But as we're writing, how can we make that SEO copy that performs for us while also remaining authentic?
So, had you asked me this question a year or 2 years ago, I might have responded slightly differently. Nothing that would, be the opposite of what I'm about to say. But what I would have said then is truly just that, like, we all have our own expertise and we all have our own voice. So, it does not matter who reads your content. The only thing that you want to do is be true to your own voice, brand, business, so that the people who do find you can either be attracted to you or just repel away, right? Because there are going to be people who find you and hear your authentic voice and be like, yeah, no thanks. Great. You don't want to work with people like that, or even listeners. You don't want listeners who don't like you. So being true to yourself, being authentic in how you show up will always attract people to you that do want to pay attention to you. So what I would have said before is obviously you're going to use phrases that you would naturally phrase, but in using your expertise and in actually speaking or writing how you would sound, you will naturally do the SEO work there. What I will say to change it now is with the world of LLMs and GEO, AIO, whatever you want to say, like AI related SEO, one of the biggest, I don't know if that's the word, is the right phrase, easiest approaches to getting found is frequently asked questions. Now, in frequently asked questions, you naturally have to use keywords. Like, if someone's asking, like, how do I make coffee? That phrase right there is a keyword phrase. How do I make coffee? Mm-hmm. Your answer is going to, hopefully, actually have coffee related terms. You will get ground coffee. You will pour it into a coffee filter. You will have that in your coffee maker, right? Like all these words are going to get repeated naturally because it is how people do questions and answers. So I will say that, there are shifts in general with SEO with the inception of AI. But if you are a podcaster, just thinking in the forms of questions and answers and I should actually say, if you're a business owner, it doesn't have to be just a podcaster. Remembering to actually include questions and answers can actually benefit you and help you show up in both places, because that part will never hurt traditional SEO, but it will help getting mentioned by tools like Claude or ChatGPT.
Right, right. I love that. Those are good tips. Entrepreneurs, we have a lot on our plate, and sometimes we, skip over the things that should be foundational or that we probably should put a little bit more energy into, like focusing on. And SEO is one of those things. And I know this just from talking to so many solopreneurs, like they're like, what's SEO? Or have I integrated this already? Can you double check, audit my podcast, make sure that I'm doing this? And lots of times if they're asking that, it's because they're not doing it already. So it's good to just kind of reiterate how important that is. And I know many of us have years and years we have transcripts, we have podcast episodes, we have blog posts, we have all this, but again, rarely optimized. So what would you say, as someone who's been in SEO for a while, you've been writing, you're a content creator, how can we turn this into that visibility that we need? What's our first couple of moves, or maybe our first move that we should start on to make this change?
Well, if you're already using analytics tools, that's where I would say is your start, is to look at what is already performing well and what is not. And I would ignore every single other thing except for those two categories. Find 3 episodes or 3 blog posts that are performing really well, and just maybe 3 that are not performing, or that you, maybe because you like them, right? Like you put a lot of effort into them and you're like, oh, nobody's coming here. Or maybe because they're conversion related, where there's like a sale or something happening, joining your email list, and you want to increase that. So take that small grouping, and then you're not necessarily comparing and contrasting, but look at why the ones that are performing well are performing well, specifically to ensure that what they are performing for is actually what you want them to. I had a big, huge brand client about 1.5 years ago who came to me and they were like, we need adjustments because we have solid SEO and it is random as heck. Like they were getting, they had done, it was a marketing company. So they had done a lot of marketing content, and one post that they had written about like one of Sprite's advertising campaigns was getting them thousands of searches and like to their blog a month. They don't do anything with Sprite, right? Like, so like that was not helping their company, was like seeing traffic come in based on another brand's one-time advertising campaign. However, we were able to adjust that to talk more about the idea of a commercial analysis, like, like breaking down commercials. Like, so we used the good SEO is getting, and we made adjustments to make sure it still fit for their needs.
Right.
Flip side, the things that are not performing well, often I find it's easier to figure out why not. Generally it's because people aren't doing any SEO efforts to begin with. Yeah. So I would suggest like finding a keyword. It doesn't have to be a perfect keyword. People do not start with SEO because it is literally too overwhelming. So they think, oh, well, I don't know if this is the right keyword. Do I use a short tail, which is like 1 or 2 words keyword? Or do I use like a long phrase? Like, how do I know if people will buy? Like all of these questions come up. Here is a cheat for you all. Just put anything in. Like literally, when you are just getting into SEO, make an informed guess. You don't even have to go into an SEO tool. Just say to yourself, like, what is this page about? Okay, it is about my podcast editing services, let's just say. There you go. There's a keyword, podcast editing services. It might turn out that that is not the best keyword in the world, but at least you'll have done something to kind of get that ball rolling. You can add it to the title of the page. You can add it to a heading. You can add it to any of the like metadata, meaning like alt text on an image, even just the title of an image. And this is why in podcasting, you have extra opportunities to do this. Because not only do you have the words in your show notes that you're like writing, but you have the metadata of your audio. So often I see people upload, and I've done this myself, just being lazy, upload an episode that's like audio 179, 843, and that's, whatever episode it is. retitle that before you upload that to your podcasting tool. So it says what the actual episode is about. That's metadata. So that's what helps podcast search tools provide your content to new listeners. People like to think of SEO as Google only. Your podcast tool, Apple Podcasts, like any of them, Spotify, they are their own contained search tool. They are not going to give you a YouTube result. They're not going to give you a Pinterest result.
Yeah.
They are going to give you a podcast episode. So just the tiniest bit of effort could get you seen or listened to by such a bigger audience, which I think people want, right? You want to be heard.
And that's so good to know. And so like relieving to know that it doesn't have to be some grandiose, content marketing, SEO strategy, that we can start with even just maybe a slight guess of what our audience is looking for in that title and tweak that title, right? And tweak our episode descriptions, that kind of thing. So that's really good. And I'm kind of interested too in the episode archives. I know that a lot of people have been asking about how to create pages that convert our subscribers and clients into fans. And so do you have any tips for that in terms of what changes can we make to make
Yeah, let me ask a clarifying question. Do you mean like on their own like webpage or like on the podcast webpage?
on their own webpage?
So if you already have an archive, you are 44 steps ahead of everyone else at this point. And it does not matter how little or much you have on the page because you're just going to play with what's there. If you have barely anything on an episode page, let's say maybe the player is embedded, the title is there, and there's 2 paragraphs about what the podcast is about, and that is it. What I would suggest is adding more. Don't worry about what's there.
Mm-hmm.
Add a little bit more to improve your opportunity of getting natural keywords in there, to improve your opportunity of it scanning for branded terms. And what I mean by branded terms here is when I first started my podcast, it's called Talk Copy to Me. No one on the internet was searching for the phrase talk copy to me because like that's not a natural phrase for them to like improve their messaging or their marketing. And the podcast did not exist. However, now it's searched hundreds of times a month because it's 4 years in. That didn't happen to me overnight. That happened just because I kept using the phrase. So when I title my episodes, they're titled, like talk copy to me, like the audio, the video, the images on my actual episode archives. So again, you have two paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just add your bio to the end. Like, your host is, add a 2-paragraph bio. Here's what this show is about, and then have a paragraph about what your entire podcast is about. So the branded terms there could be your name within the bio, and it could be your podcast name within the like show explanation. The reason I gave that as an example is you can almost always copy that to each and every episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is valuable to adjust the wording so you're not just constantly saying the exact same phrases over and over again, which some people will tell you could cannibalize your SEO. I don't want you to even stress out about that because it is literally your bio. Your bio goes multiple places over the internet, so that won't hurt your SEO. But if you don't have content, add some words. If you do have content, this is when I'd challenge you to be a little bit more strategic. Like, are you actually explaining what happens in the episode? Are you like going off on rants? Do you have the episode show notes set up that they're scannable? Because people do not read walls of text.
Right.
There is a huge benefit to providing some white space on the page so that their eyes and brain can process the information. So bullet points are helpful. Images are helpful. Even just a line divider to separate like maybe like the bullet points, like what the show is about from the bio. It just gives you like the individual who views its brain a chance to like say, oh, okay, we're talking about something else now.
Yeah.
So I think opportunity for someone who doesn't have a lot of content is to start small and just add more words to the page or edit what's already there. And if you are 100% of an overachiever, I would encourage you to go into those show notes and do something like an FAQ or like top 3 things you might be wondering after listening. Even if you can't spend the time to like answer every single one of those things, you're still bringing the natural phrases in, So if your episode, again, sorry for this example, but if your episode is about how to make coffee, the questions might be like, how do I know what coffee to buy? How do I know how to make iced coffee if I only know how to make hot coffee? Whatever it is, they're natural questions. So you're not forcing anything and you're still getting keywords in there that will help you.
I love that. I love that. And, I'm hopefully somebody who has a coffee podcast will be able to use this as well. I love it. Thank you. I'm just really interested in, because you've given us so much today, and I appreciate your support with SEO and what you do in your company and how you help entrepreneurs. I would love to know just a little bit about maybe your favorite things in your business that you do, something that just lights you up and you can't wait to tackle every day that you're working.
Oh, I love that. I think my favorite part of my business is when I get to provide strategy help for clients. So I find that I have a very rapid firing brain and I can think of a couple different perspectives at once. Now, we all know I am my own worst enemy at this. Often when we're in our own business or even in the podcast, we are in like the jar, like we can't see outside of what's happening from what our own experience is. So when my clients can come to me and they're already feeling frustrated and they're like, but I tried that, or I don't think that will work for me. I love being able to give them options. And sometimes, they won't work, but I can at least provide things that they're not thinking because they're too much in their own weeds. And almost always I can see a light bulb go off for them. Like I can see them think to themselves, oh why didn't I think of that? And to me, it might be the most obvious thing, but to them, it really opened a door for them to be able to do a lot. Yeah. That doesn't even necessarily mean they need to hire me to be the implementer of those things, but just it gets them going and it stops that friction that they're feeling for whatever they're struggling with so they can take that momentum and kind of, make change and improve their business.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've been doing this for a long time, from what I understand, right? So This is years and years, 10 years. So this is a long time of just being able to see what's out there and how to help your clients more effectively. You've seen the changes in SEO. You've seen the changes in content marketing over the years. So you have that perspective that you can bring to the table when you're helping. I would love to know if you have any opt-in resources for us or anything that we can use to help us in our business.
Sure. So first, the easiest option for you, since you're listening on podcast, is to come and find my podcast, which I think I said before, but it's called Talk Copy to Me. It is a marketing podcast for small to medium-sized businesses, which includes the solopreneurs. Like we never know what to call ourselves these days online, right? A creative, a solopreneur, entrepreneur, any label. Listen to my show. But if you are interested in things like SEO, I have both an on-site, meaning like your website SEO checklist, as well as an off-site checklist that are both on my website that you can download for free. Awesome. Here's the beauty of SEO. I have a tricky last name. It's Ollila. There's only vowels and L's, so Ollila. My website's Erin Olalla. You can mess that up as much as you'd like, but because I have claimed my ground in SEO land, Google will direct you to me, even if you misspell it. So that's another example for people who are like, wait, I'm having a hard time getting found, or my business name is not exactly, spelled how it sounds. Invest in SEO, because then it's kind of like having a wingman. Like Google's like, oh yeah, no, you mean Erin. This is Erin, not that. So download either of those if you really want to check while you're doing it. Oh, okay, I did that. Oh, okay, I did this. Because I think sometimes it's just hard to know that we actually are doing all of the steps. We rush through them. So I use my own checklist very often when I'm like, wait, did I do my alt text? Nope, I didn't.
I love that you use your own checklist.
I do, yeah. I don't create, in truth, I've done this so long and I've been in the world of business for so long that I don't create junk because I've seen so much. So when I start doing things for myself that I know are repetitive and I don't need to like teach them to people, that's generally what you'll find for me on my site, because I'm like, here's how to do it. You can do this on your own. I promise. You don't need me for this.
Yeah. Yeah. That is awesome. So what I would love to do is to find out how we can reach you, because again, SEO is not going away. And so we're going to need that support. Tell us how we can stay connected to your work.
Sure. I most of the time you can find me on Threads. In all honesty, I'm on most social media channels. But erinolalla.com, or just literally come and introduce yourself. I am a very approachable person. And I would love to just kind of meet new people and hear where they are on their SEO journey.
Yeah. And Erin, thank you so much. That was awesome. And I think that a lot of people are intrigued after listening to this, who, if maybe we haven't been thinking about the SEO. I do talk about it a good bit here, but it's important to just remember, like, hey, we're creating this content, but we want to be found in the search engines, and we don't want to just have our information out there and not consider the importance of SEO. So thank you so much for that. And it was a great conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.